Towards the beginning of the press circuit on September 13th, Taylor said that she thought her and Whitney were all good and had resolved everything, but you never know with Whitney. Macy said they cleared the air, but are not as close as they once were. And they asked Macy if Whitney was still halfway in the doghouse, as she said to her at Michaela's party. And Macy responded by saying 3/4. She's even farther in the doghouse? Damn. You think she'll do a TikTok dance in there? And according to Macy, Whitney apparently didn't like some sort of comment that Macy gave during one of the interviews, and seems like she was giving her a hard time about it. What gives you the right, girl? What? I don't know that we have that leg to stand on. What am I supposed to do about her aunt? She hasn't got legs. And unfortunately, I think Whitney may be the aunt in this scenario. I don't know if we have legs to stand on. But regardless of whatever that was, Macy did apparently reach out to Whitney after all of the hate. Whitney did not respond. She is very much isolating. And at the very beginning of the press circuit on September 10th, when Macy was asked about Whitney returning to Mom Talk, she said, "I don't think so." And I do remember that there was talk around this time about whether she would come back to the show as a whole, because she doesn't have to be on Mom Talk to be in the show. But people were questioning whether she would even do that again, whether she would even do another season because of how she was being perceived. Although I think we all know she's probably locked into a contract. She is in season 2, despite still not being a member of Mom Talk. As for the women's general thoughts on her, in a Vile Files episode, they made it pretty clear that some of them think that she's more calculated, some of them kind of just think she's delusional. They also mentioned that before they filmed, they did research on reality TV, and Jesse would often send them clips talking about how the villain often actually comes out on top, monetization-wise. They end up with all the riches, but they were adamant as a group that they did not want to have a villain. However, now I think they're starting to question whether Whitney had her sights set on the prize. And Nick Viall also threw out a theory on this podcast that the women confirmed that they kind of agree with, which is that Whitney did not reach out to Taylor after her arrest just to be nice. It was because she wanted her on the show. She wanted her to be the villain. And so she was talking shit about Taylor in her interviews, thinking that Taylor was going to be the villain, not realizing things had switched.